Now let's look at 2.3. We're going to read 2.3. I'm going to attempt to read it without messing up my microphone. Funds can be consolidated, but only at the risk of lost or misleading information. The following balance sheet was adapted from the financial statements of the Williamsburg Regional Sewage Treatment Authority. Dates have been changed. So basically, we know that we have a general fund and we have a capital projects fund. Okay? Our job here, and you see the fund here that Williamsburg Regional Sewage Treatment. You guys see it? So we see our assets. We have a general capital projects. We've got cash, time deposits, due on insurance claim, due from general fund, due from participants, and then we've got an accounts payable, due from capital projects fund. What we're supposed to do is create the balance sheet of the two funds into a single consolidated balance sheet. Show separately, however, the restricted and the unrestricted portions of the consolidated fund balances, not each individual asset and liability. And we're going to eliminate the interfund payables. Okay? So we're trying to create here, we're going to consolidate this Regional Sewage Treatment Authority. So what are we going to do here? What is our cash combined?
So are we just combining the general 751 plus the capital projects, the 5,000?
Yes.
And so we don't do just a general total assets combined. We still have to break it down line by line.
We're going to break it down into cash, time deposits, due on insurance claim, and due from participants. So our cash is what? 5,772. Next, we're going to take our time deposits. What are those?
16,398.
16,398. Next, we have due on insurance claim of how much?
9,499.
$9,499. And then last, we have what? Due from participants?
Due from general fund and due from general fund and then due from participants.
But it tells us to eliminate any transfers. Be sure to eliminate interfund payables and receivables. So we're not going to worry about due from general fund. Okay? Due from participants is a receivable of how much? 7889,
Yeah.
which gives us total assets of how much? What are our total assets, guys?
102,558.
Yes. Total assets, 102,558. 102,558. Now let's look at our liability and fund equity. Accounts payable, 17,725. Now we've got net assets. What do we have in restricted net assets? The capital projects fund, isn't that restricted? Specifically for the project? 34,833? And what do we have for unrestricted? In the general fund?
The 50,000.
About 84,833. If you add the two together.
But the 34 is being treated as restricted, so the unrestricted portion of our net assets is 50,000, right?
Where did the 34,833 come
If you go under the capital projects.
If you see under the column for capital projects, generally, when we have money in capital projects, isn't it restricted for a specific purpose? So that's why we would treat it as a restricted fund. So we show the 34,833 from the capital projects fund as being restricted. The unrestricted is from the general fund.
What about the $9,000 due to the capital fund?
Do you see where it says in number 1, be sure to eliminate interfund payables and receivables? We're not, because we're trying to combine the funds together, we're going to get rid of the interfund between each other. We're going to eliminate that because they're going to wash each other out, aren't they?
Yep.
And so we're not going to worry about those. So if we take our net assets and our account balance, what do we total here? Todd, what did you come up with total assets?
102,558.
What do you think this will be?
The same.
Total liabilities and net assets? It's got to be, right, Todd?
Yeah, it has to be.
It has to be right.
Our own balance.
Exactly. 102,558.
Total liability
Does that make sense?
So
Net-
all else fails, just make sure that the bottom matches the top.
Well, it has to match the top.
So if you would have added that $9,000 in, you would have known.
Exactly.
That was wrong.
Because the restricted is
Unless you added it in on the top too.
the capital project.
Correct, but you see how they wash each other out? One's a debit, one's a credit?
Yep.
General fund money.
Now, number 2 says, which presentation, the unconsolidated or the consolidated, provides more complete information?
The unconsolidated has more information.
It provides more information. Yes, it does. Which presentation might be seen as misleading?
The consolidated.
Do you think the consolidated is misleading or the unconsolidated?
I can argue either which way
You
want.
could. Basically, guys, when you look at the consolidated statement, it lets them know. I mean, it looks like we have a lot of net assets, but 34,000 of them are restricted. We can't just up and use that money. So in some level, the consolidated statement shows where the restricted really is located. most of the liquid assets are pretty restricted. So the consolidated statement gives, in a way, a distorted view of the true ability to meet obligations, because a lot of these assets are not available yet. They're due from the participants. So the unconsolidated statement really probably overall gives a better picture. Okay? Any questions, guys? Was this helpful?
Yes.
Yes,
Yes.
very much so.